Hello, hello. This is Sherry with Sherry's Paint and Pad, and today I'm going to do the tiger for the Upward Bound group. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy painting this. This is Aubie the tiger. In your kit, you should have gotten the tiger cutout. You should have 2 of the sponges. You should also have a regular paintbrush. And you may have, I think you do have, I'm not 100% sure, but a little circular dauber. If you don't have one, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to make circles without the daubler if you don't have one. But I'm pretty sure everybody has one. We'll check and make sure. So anyways, the first thing I want to do that I want to make sure you understand is you're going to do 2 coats of every color as best you can, okay? Also, I want you to make sure that you get your edges. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my white. Now on my white, I'm using a sponge right here, and I first want to get my edges, but I'm only going to get the edges that are going to touch the white part. So that's going to be the bottom portion of his face, okay? So I'm not going to do the top portion of his face. If you've noticed, I'm starting right here at the whiskers, all right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to get all of my edges for my tiger. If you happen to get paint on your backside, don't worry about that. Probably nobody was going to see it, but if you are OCD and you want to make sure that that's covered, that's totally fine. You can always go back later and paint the backside. You can do it, on a rainy day, you're bored, you can do a totally reversible one where you can paint another Aubie on the other side, or just simply paint it black. And that black will cover everything up. So you won't have to worry about that. So I'm going to do my edges all the way down to this part of his head, okay? So I'm not doing the edging on this portion here. All right. There we go. All right, again, I'm not doing the edges on the top part of his head, so I'm going to come over to this part of my whiskers. And I'm going to start doing my edging over here. I am hoping that we will get to have some football, college football this year. Hopefully we will. Alright, so again, I'm just getting my edges here. Take your time. This video, you should be able to stop it, pause, come back and re-watch. So if I'm going faster than you are, don't worry about that. You should be able to pause it and fast forward or whatever you need to do. Okay? So that you can get it painted and done. Alright, so I'm going to get my edges again all the way down here. I'm not going to do the wooden plank portion here, just on the lower portion of the head with the whiskers. Alright, so now that I've got my edges, I'm going to use my sponge and I'm going to paint this bottom portion here in the white. If you get over those lines a little bit, don't stress out about that. It's going to be totally fine. No big deal. We're going to paint this part white. If you've noticed, I'm using long arm movements. That's going to minimize your visibility of being able to see the strokes and whatnot. So whenever you can, use long movements. Come around the eyes and the nose. Coming around here. Make sure I get that area. Okay, coming around the nose there, the bottom part of it. Come around the eyes. Like I said, if you happen to go over a little bit, don't worry about it because we're going to outline the entire tiger once it's done. We'll outline it. That way, any little imperfections going out of your lines, things like that, you're not going to see later. Bottom part there. You don't have to, if you notice with me when I'm painting, I'm not necessarily going with the grain of the wood. You don't have to go with the grain of the wood. Okay. Now, while I'm letting that dry a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do his eyebrows. Okay? Those are going to be white as well. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint the inside of his eyebrows white. And yes, that is going to go right into his face. You may or may not be able to see that eyebrow line. Don't worry about it. We'll fix that whenever we get ready to outline it. Okay, so now I have my white on the bottom part of my face and I have my eyebrows done. Okay, so now I need to do a second coat of white on everything. Now, of course, it's not 100% dry. It doesn't have to be 100% dry, so I'm not going to really worry too much about that. It's dry enough. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my second coat of white.
Can Preston make his gun outside so he can have a nose for with the other boy? You can't bring him outside.
Okay, so we're finishing up this side of my second coat of white paint. I'll come over here, do my other side. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, in my view, the less perfect it is, the better to me it looks. But that's to each his own. So now I'm going to get my eyebrows again. Second eyebrow. And again, I realize that I'm probably going faster than you. So, but that's okay. Feel free to pause it and do it at your own pace. Feel free to do that. Alright, so now I'm done with my white here. I'm done with that. And I'm going to go on to my orange. Now, what I'm going to paint orange is I do want to paint this bottom portion here, this plank board here. I do want to paint it orange. So, I'm going to turn my plate, going to get my other sponge, and I'm going to start doing my edges here in the orange. Let's see here. If you hear kids out there, my grandkids, and I have art camp this week too. So between the grandkids and art camp, they're out there playing. So on a break while I do this tiger. All right, so now I'm going to paint this bottom part here orange. You will still be able to see some of the wood grain to come through. I purposely want the wood grain to come through. If you don't want the wood grain to come through, then you can always paint it white first. But like I said, I want the wood grain to come through. So I am almost done doing my first coat on this bottom plank. I'm going with the grain of wood, but again, like I said earlier, you don't have to go with the grain of the wood. That's not a big deal. Alright guys, so now that I have that bottom part of the plank done, I'm going to do this top portion of my head. The only part that I'm not going to paint orange is going to be this part of my nose, the bottom portion of my nose, and my eyes. Everything else is going to be orange. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my edges and getting those orange. Make sure you move that string to hang it with. Alright guys, so I've got the top portion of my edge done. So now I'm going to paint the top part of my head orange. That white is still very much wet and fresh, so just kind of be careful with it. If you happen to get some orange into the white, don't stress out about it, don't worry about it. We're going to outline it in black anyways, so we'll be able to cover a lot of that up. So don't worry yourself out too much about that, okay? Try to have fun with this and let it be relaxing. Okay, and again, I'm going to paint around the string. Into my nose. And like I said, if you happen to get into the bottom part of the nose or even into the eyes, white part, wherever, don't worry about it for the most part because we are going to paint that black anyways. Yeah, you can go get you a cup. Flavored water's over there by my water cooler.
Hey, tomorrow can I bring a Frisbee?
Sure. Okay. So now I have the entire top portion of my head painted in the orange, okay? So at this point, I'm going to start doing my second coat. So I'm going to flip it back around. And I'm going to start doing the second coat of my orange here. And I don't know if you guys can see, but like I have orange in my white a little bit. I've got orange where my black's gonna be. It's gonna happen. So I mean, you guys, you know, you're not going to get it perfect 100% of the time on this. Don't worry about it. When we do our outlining and our accent lines and things like that, we'll be able to hide a large portion of these little errors that you will not even be able to see. And honestly, if you guys have ever painted with me before with the upper bound, and I think many of you have actually, you already know that there's definitely a way to hide a lot of little imperfections. And not only that, I want you to feel free to change it up, make it yours. So if you don't necessarily want to do yours exactly like I'm doing mine, you know, be creative and have your own way with it. That is totally okay. That's the beauty of art. Okay, so I'm working on the second coat on the top part of my head. And if you want to have a way to dry yours faster, if you're uncomfortable painting one step before it dries, you're welcome to get a hair dryer out and use a hair dryer to go from there. Okay? So now I have 2 coats of my white and I have 2 coats of my orange. They're both pretty still wet, so that's not a problem for me. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start using my paintbrush and I'm going to paint in the eyes and the nose with the black. Be careful with this though, because if you get it into the white, it will turn gray, which, you know, for the most part isn't that big of a deal, simply because we're going to do 2 coats. But if that bothers you, I just want to give you a heads up. When you get to the top part of the eye right here, remember his eyebrows are jagged. So right here, I'm just going to kind of come in here and just kind of make them a little jagged. There we go. And if I pull up, you can kind of see what I'm talking about right here, just kind of making them a little jagged. Alright, so I'm going to do the next eye. And again, don't forget this top part here is going to be jagged, because that's where the eyebrow is. Okay. And this bottom part of his nose is also black. Just paint that completely in. Like I said, this video, you'll be able to pause it and come back and watch it. Do it at your own pace, okay? Another thing I'm going to want to do is at this point, now my orange is still super, super wet. And so I think I will dry mine. Just simply because of that. Hang on one moment, let me get a hair dryer. Because I can't very well do my stripes, my tiger stripes on wet orange. Let's see here. So what I'm going to do is now, and this is where you can really have fun with it. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's no correct placement or anything to do with the tiger stripes. I just know that I'm going to want one coming across his forehead, and I'm going to want it to be fairly thick. So I'm just going to do some little waves on here. So I've got one tiger stripe right there. I want it to have a opposing stripe on the other side of his head, right there. Right. I'm going to do one right here. But guys, let me tell you, like I said, this is completely up to you as to where you want his tiger stripes to be. I'm leaving this completely up to you guys. When we get to the ears right here, I am going to kind of come in and do like a stripe in there. Kind of like a W, like a rounded out W. Right over here. On the nose part, I'm going to do a stripe coming across here. I'm going to want another one coming across here. And again, I'm just placing stripes wherever I think I may want a stripe at. That's going to be completely up to you as to where you want your stripes to be. Okay? What I am going to do is, now at this point, I'm going to kind of do some outlines on this upper portion of the head. And one thing I do want to have you take notice of is typically whenever we paint with our brush nice and flat like this. Okay? And that covers more ground so we don't have to paint as much. However, this time when we start doing our outlines, I want us to turn our paintbrush to the side like this. Instead of holding it flat like this, I want us to turn our paintbrush to the side like this to do our outlines with, okay? And you're going to end up getting a completely different line by doing that. So the first thing I want to do is on my side, I'm going to outline my ear right here. And I'm going to outline this ear here as well. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to outline my eyebrows. Just outlining my eyebrows. Then I want to come over here and I want to outline my sides right there. And you can tell that hides a lot of the little imperfections that you had before, okay? I want to go ahead and I'm going to do a second coat on my eye while I'm right here. So if you pulled up any white whenever you did your first coat and it turned gray, this should cover that right up. Do my second coat on my eye over here. Okay? Now before I do my second coat on my nose, I'm going to come here at the top part of my eye and I'm going to trace around my nose. And this is just going to make it more uniform. Again, I'm coming to the top part of this eye and I'm going to trace around that nose. Now that I've got that line there, I'm going to go ahead and work on doing my second coat on my nose. And again, you'll see by doing that outline that hides any imperfections that you may have there, okay? Awesome. Put this back so you guys can see it a little bit. All right, so the next step that I'm going to do here is he's got 3 little whisker parts right on his cheeks. So I'm going to kind of come here and I'm just going to do like an oval, like a letter C, and then I'm going to back up that letter C. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do a letter C, and then I'm going to do a backwards letter C and fill that in. It's called like an oval. Okay. Alright, so right here on this side, we're going to do another 3 ovals right here. Alright, so now that we have that, very good. I'm going to come here and again, we're outlining, so our brush is going to be to the side, not flat. And I'm just going to roughly come in here and outline my whiskers and just kind of do it kind of rough. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I don't want it to be perfect, at least not on mine. I don't want it to be perfect. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to outline those whiskers. I'm going all the way around here. Alright. And then I'm going to outline this bottom portion right here. And if you happen to pick up some white and it turns gray, don't worry about it. We'll do a second coat in a little bit. No big deal. Alright. There we go. Now, another thing I want to do on my whiskers, and I'm going to kind of set my tiger up a little bit whenever I do this part here. I want to come in here and I want to pull from these little ovals right here, and I just want to do a real quick line. Just a real quick pull out of those lines. Okay? Real quick pull out of them. There we go. So now we've got our whiskers right there. All right. All right, guys. So then at that point, I'm going to wash my brush out. Get a cup of water. Alright. I'm going to wash my brush out. You should have a navy blue also. Now you may need to take that the tip of your brush just to kind of re-stir it up a little bit. And when I say your tip, I'm talking about this portion right here, this part of your brush. You may need to stir it up a little bit. It's just blue and black mixed in together that makes navy blue. Just kind of stir that up. Make sure it's mixed in really, really, really well, okay? Until you get navy blue, which yours should be pretty mixed up, but like I said, you may want to just mix it up again. Just make sure that everything transported correctly. Okay? Alright, so to do a circle, you've got two options. One is a circular dauber like this. Now, if you're going to use this, all you have to do is take it and set it into your navy blue. Come over to your bottom plank here. Push this so you can see it, the bottom part here. Set your circular dauber down. Twist it just a little bit and pick straight up. By doing that, you have a circle, okay? A polka dot. Now, the other option is, one, I like my polka dots to be a little bit bigger, but secondly, another option to do this is to paint your own circles. And the way that you will do that is, one is don't overthink it. Secondly, practice a couple times on a paper towel or a piece of paper with the paintbrush before you actually do it on your tiger. But the thing is, I want you to think of it in the form of a letter C. Just like we did the ovals here, except we're going to make them a little bit more rounded, okay? So just think of it in the form of a letter C. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do a letter C, and I'm going to pick my brush up. As you can see right there, all I did was just do like a letter C, and I picked my brush up. Then I'm going to come get some more paint on my brush. I'm going to start where I stopped at, and I'm going to do a backwards letter C and connect. Right there. And then at that point, I'm just going to fill in, and I have a larger polka dot. Okay? Now, like I said, if you're unsure about that, practice on a piece of paper before you take it to your board. Okay? So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my polka dots all over. Some of them I actually am going to have hanging off. So I'm going to do one right here in this corner, and I want it to hang off some. And just be totally random with this. Be totally random. Now, because my tiger's face is actually in an area where I want a polka dot to be, I'm going to do a half circle right here, because I actually want a polka dot right there. Okay? I don't know if you guys can see that. That's my half circle on his face. So come here. Alright. So I have my first coat of my polka dots pretty much done. I'm going to wash my brush out because I want to let that dry a moment. Now the only time you're going to have to do a second coat of the polka dots is if you do it with a paintbrush. If you do it with your circular dauber that comes in your kit, you only have to do it one time. Okay? So that's completely up to you. Leaving it up to you. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is, while I'm letting that dry for just a moment, I'm probably still going to have to take my hair dryer to it. But while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to do some white accents. Again, I'm doing it on my side, on the side of the brush, not flat. And I'm going to kind of come here and I want to add in some white accent in his nose. Right here. I'm going to add in some right here on his eyes. Okay, just a few inside the little whisker points. Alright, and I'm going to add just a touch in his ears up here. Now if you want to add more elsewhere, this is yours. You can do that. No problem at all. You can do that, okay? So now I'm going to dry this because I want to make sure that my polka dots are good and dry. Awesome. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my second coat of my polka dots. Now, when it comes time to personalize this, you are welcome to personalize it any way that you like to. I'm going to put War Eagle on mine. But if you want to put your last name or whatever, you know, just whatever you want to put on there, you're welcome to do that. This is your project. Wash that out. My brush. While I'm washing that out, I'm going to get this good and dry so I can write on it. Awesome. So now at this point, I'm going to write War Eagle on my tiger. I'm going to do it in the black. so now I have War Eagle written across my tiger. Okay? So now another thing that you could do to kind of spice that up a little bit, I'm going to show this to you. Dry it real good. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some white accent lines or just highlights inside my War Eagle. So I'm just going to kind of come in here. And that just kind of makes it a little bit better on the eyes. So we got War Eagle and we have our tiger. So there we go. This is how you will paint your Auburn tiger. I hope that you enjoy painting it and post some pictures. Tag Sherry's Paint Pad in there and make sure you tag Upward Bound Coastal Community College in there as well. And I thank you for painting this with me. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.